Today, I plan to share 4 different topics with you. I am planning to start with the idea of the experiences we had about industrial revolutions. Then I will explain a bit more about the metaverse and different perspectives about the metaverse. And then I'll continue to the concept of digital leadership. And finally, with the focus on real world, I will share what do digital leaders need to know about the metaverse and to concentrate on. So let's start with the first part, which is about the industrial revolutions. I try my best to be very brief on these explanations. And as you all may know, these days we are on the edge of a new industrial revolution. We call it IR 4.0. And for years, we had experienced the 3 previous industrial revolutions. I'm sure you all are familiar to them. The first one was related to the steam engines, then the electricity, and then the computers, and now the digitalizations. So the main idea behind this industrial revolution, I don't want to go to the details of the industrial revolutions, but there is a pattern here that we can learn something about that pattern. And the main idea is that when we were starting the industrial revolutions, there were a kind of fear of losing our jobs in the business environment from the business perspective. And to be honest, it was happening in all previous industrial revolutions. But the good news was that after each industrial revolution, we were starting to design new jobs, and those new jobs were designed based on the new competencies we have gained through the industrial revolution. So, for example, before and after some of the industrial revolutions, we didn't have any engineers, for example. But after the industrial revolution, we started to have engineers, designers. Before the 3rd industrial revolution, we didn't have any programmers. We didn't have any, for example, the computer engineers. But after that, there were many jobs related to programming and computers. And same is going on for this last industrial revolution. And now we are on the edge of this industrial revolution. IR 4.0 started to be discussed about 10 years ago, about 12 years ago, in fact. On 2010 in a conference in Germany, we started to hear this new term of IR 4.0. And now we are in the middle of this change. So majority of our jobs are going to be changed, and we need to come up with some new set of competencies and skills. And today I will go through them, because this list of skills and competencies are something that all leaders need to know when they move to this new era of digitalization. So let's move on to the next topic I want to share with you. In fact, I had many things to share about the metaverse, but I prefer to share only 16 points about the metaverse with you to give the history and background and different perspective about the metaverse, and then we'll move forward. So the term metaverse started from a novel, Snow Crash, 1992. It was about 3 decades ago. And if you review the academic literature, we see that early 2000 years, we had the negative ideas about metaverse. But we had a gap, and in recent years, we started to hear more and more about the metaverse again, especially in last 2 years. But this time, the ideas, the general perspective about the metaverse is completely different. It's completely positive. And there were some change in the business environment as well. I'm sure you have heard about the change of the name of Facebook company to Meta and their strategies on moving towards the metaverse. So these were some signals to businesses that we need to do something about metaverse. The metaverse era is starting. And in fact, some people call the metaverse the other world or the other space. But this is not the main thing we are going to experience, because when we say the other world, it means that there is a separation between this virtual world and our real world. But as I will explain later, we are moving to a more integration status. So it will not be easy for us to differentiate these two worlds from each other in a very close future. And I'm sure you all have started to hear about the virtual relationships in the metaverse. We are hearing about virtual marriage, virtual parenting activities in metaverse, and many other things that are new phenomena from the sociology perspective. Today we'll not move to that direction, but it will be important for our organizations, especially as many of the new generations will have some activities there in metaverse, and it will not be only a leisure activity. It will be some part of their jobs in a very close future. So some other people call the metaverse a living internet, and in fact it's true, because we are moving to that level of integrity that we can live in that new environment. So this will be something completely new for us, a new experience, but the opportunities are there. As I shared with you, there will be many new jobs there, many new businesses there, and this living internet will help us a lot. And how it helps us? By using the IR 4.0 related technologies. I'm sure you have heard about this technology. The list of these technologies is very long, but the most important ones that are going to be integrated in the metaverse are artificial intelligence, the big data analytics, Internet of Things, or for example, predictive analysis, and robotics, and many other new technologies related to this industrial revolution will be experienced on this metaverse environment. And this is the reason many scholars have started to call metaverse a placeless place. So we have started to experience this, especially during this last 2 years of pandemic. We started to experience that organizations can move to this direction. We started to have more borderless organizations, and this will be a very common practice in metaverse. And I think you all know that in metaverse, we are going to link the reality and the virtual world. And this will happen through linking the avatars and the human mindsets. So this will be something that we have started to experience. I'm sure you have started to use avatars in different platforms. Even in virtual conferences nowadays, it's more than common to use avatars. But these avatars are going to be more and more complex when we move to the new versions of the metaverse or the metaverses in future. So this metaverse, as I shared with you, when we have this different technologies related to IR 4.0, there will be a multi-technology platform there. So we need to accept those technologies. And although there were some future studies which were not so positive about the using multi-technology platforms, and it was a kind of a threat for the lives of the people, the humankind. But in fact, we know that the dominance of multi-technologies will happen in this metaverse platforms. The other thing which is among the top priorities of academia these days is the social perspective of the metaverse, because the metaverse is not only a technology. As I will share with you later, the metaverse is talking about this social meaning as well. So this sociality is a component of the metaverse. So when you think about the metaverse, do not assume this as a pure technology, but we are going to increase the quality of our social interactions as well. So we are going to deepen our social experiences through this platform. And it is happening. We have started to experience this new social meaning in the metaverse now. And of course, this social meaning happens because we have the immersive nature in our metaverse platforms. So there are multi dimensions there, and people are immersing there. So we are merging our personalities, our realities with the virtual reality there. But I need to differentiate the metaverse from these virtual realities or extended realities, because this is something more than that. It's not limited to that. And in a very close future, you don't need to use these headsets and so on, or different types of glasses to use the metaverse. And it will be accessible to many people. And this is the reason we are moving to a higher level of integrity and singularity here. So we have started with these digital twins, same as what we shared with you about the avatars and our human bodies. So these are starting from digital twins now, but we are moving to digital natives as well. So when we reach to that stage of having digital natives there in metaverse, the singularity will happen. So the virtual world and the real world are going to integrate with each other. And the metaverse is a platform to help this happen. And no matter we like it or not, it is going to happen. And we need to find ways to align this new phenomena and also to increase the quality of our lives using this opportunity. So this opportunity recognition happens in a virtual ecosystem. When I use the term ecosystem, it means that we are going to have different players like the natural ecosystem. And these players are going to work in harmony with each other. And when we have this harmony, we are going to reach to a balance. So there will be no fights there. There will be no demolishing the other parties, the technology or the humankind there. So there will be a new ecosystem, and this new ecosystem will help us to flourish better, and it will help the civilizations for sure in a very close future. And as I shared with you, we need to differentiate this with the mixed and extended realities. And one of the final points I wanted to share with you is that metaverse is not only about a technology. Metaverse starts with a technology, but there will be some methods, some processes there, and we need to design those processes to increase our experience there, and then to reach to a better impact from this new technology, new platform. So this chain is very important for us. And the thing is that we need to forget about the technology aspect of metaverse, and we need to know that the impact aspects and the method dimension are becoming more and more important compared to the technology, because technology will be available to everyone very soon. But the most important thing, which will have many new job opportunities, business opportunities, will be there on the methods and the impacts. And finally, how we see this method and impact through the meta economics, which we have started to hear in the economic forums, the meta management, and also the meta enterprises and meta cities. So these are the platforms that are going to help us to have some impacts on the lives of people, and also to help the mother nature better. So now I want to move to the second part of my sharing for today. And I want to start with this question: were we expecting the metaverse or not? To be honest, we were expecting the metaverse. We were starting to investigate about the different generations of the web many years ago. We started with web ones, one directional webs. And then we moved to the second generation of the webs, which was the collaborative web. And there were some collaborations and two-directional communications there in Web 2s. And we started to experience Web 3 some years ago. And in this Web 3, there were some new players. So the people were also involved in this process. There were some artificial intelligences there as well. And the complexity is much higher. And the metaverse, the start of metaverse, what we are experiencing now, is a part of this Web3 approach. And in order to show you the way that Metaverse is going to change in close future, I want to share that we also have designed a new generation of the webs. As you can see, Web 1 is the web of cognition. Web 2 was the web of communication. It was two-directional. Web 3 is a web of cooperation. We will start to experience the human-machine cooperation in Web 3, what we see in the initial versions of the Metaverse. And we also think about the Web 4, which is the web of integration, integrating the virtual world and the real world, integrating the virtual computers or the, for example, the artificial intelligences with our biological bodies. So this will happen on Web 4. So this will be the new generation of the Metaverse. And as you can see, we started from the computer era, then we moved to World Wide Web, and then to social webs or social platforms. We all experienced them. Then we moved to semantic webs, which is the current version of the Metaverse, but we also have the Meta Web there. So in Meta Web, we are going to connect the intelligences, and this intelligence can be both human intelligence and artificial intelligences. So when we talk about these generations, and we know that we are on the edge of moving from Web 3 to Web 4 now, we need to see what is the impact of this change on business and organizations. And the most common thing that we are hearing these days is the digital transformation. I'm sure you all have heard about digital transformation. It is a very common word today. And the characteristics of the digital transformation, I shared here only some of these characteristics, but we can extend this list easily. But the good thing is that we easily can use these digital transformation characteristics on linking the current status of our organizations, our businesses, to what we are going to experience in Metaverse, like interconnectedness of the businesses to each other, diminishing time lags and abundance of information. This is happening, and we already have experience on this information. And even we are talking about the information pollutions or issues about the abundance of information, because many years ago data was important for us, then we moved to information, and very soon the data and information will not be as important as the knowledge or intelligence. So we are going to start to, for example, mine the intelligence instead of data mining or information mining, what we experience right now. So the transparency and complexity both will be much higher in the digital transformation processes, and this will happen in Metaverse as well. So we need to be ready for that, because majority of the businesses are going to have some components on the Metaverse. The hierarchies are going to be removed. I think it's very clear. And we also will have a new type of decision making. Later I will share some more ideas about this new decision makings, because the integrity is going to change the style of decision making in organization. And also digital transformation is not only about digitalization. We also think about the human side of the transformation. So one of the most important components of this digital transformation is the human side. So humanizing effects will be very important in digital transformation. And we need to know that I emphasize on this, that digitalization, this IR 4.0 is not only about the technology. It is also about the human experience, and also the quality of life for all people in the world. So now I move to the last part of my discussion before we move to the application of what we discussed right now. I want to share some ideas about digital leadership, because when I share digital leaders, it might not be clear to some of you. And when we talk about digital leaders, we already have all the components of leadership, previous styles of leadership, including the transformative leadership, or for example, the ethical leadership, servant leadership, and so on. We have many different leadership styles. On digital leadership, we need to use all those competencies and we need to add something new to them. So here I have shared some characteristics of digital leadership mindset. I will share only some more important ones with you. The first thing is that the human is the core in digital leadership, although we see the term digital there, but it's very important. On digital leadership, we need to find some innovative ways, new ways to solve the old problems. And soon we are going to have very good solutions for our old problems, like, for example, climate change or global warming, as two new and challenging problems we have. The ethical decision making will be there on digital leadership. A huge change in business models will happen, and this is why we need to have knowledge about business model innovations. And also on digital leadership, the importance of the awareness will be very high, and we need to increase the awareness in all our stakeholders, not only our employees, our society, but also the rest of the stakeholders we have. And finally, we are going to have the values, new set of values and new value propositions to our customers and our stakeholders. So these are the new change or emphasizes we have on digital leadership mindset. So now I want to move to the last part of my discussion on the concerns we have. So I want to dive deep into the concerns we have on moving our businesses, moving our leadership experiences to a platform like Metaverse. So the first thing is about decision making. The decision-making processes are going to change dramatically. Majority of our decision-making experiences will not work there in Metaverse. So we need to pay more attention to people. We need to redesign the processes we have. We need to have a much better understanding about the technology. So we cannot be a leader without information and awareness about the technology if we want to be active in Metaverse. We need to pay more attention to partnerships, different types of partnership, of course, and also we need to have shared decision-making. This shared decision-making is not only inside your organization, and as I shared with you, we are going to experience many more borderless organizations. The second thing I want to share about our concerns is about the digital leadership competencies. I will share the slides later with you, and you can get the slides from our friends in DPU. But this is a model I developed just some weeks ago, and it will be published in a book very soon in coming months. So we need to come up with a new set of competencies for our leaders. So many of the competencies that our leaders have will not be useful on moving to Metaverse. So all leaders, all business students, all business people need to start to gain new competencies, new skills and capabilities. It's very important, and we need to have a very dramatic review on the competencies needed for digital leaders. Without them, we cannot do business, we cannot survive in the Metaverse environment. The next concern I want to share with you is about the corporate digital responsibility. I'm sure you are all familiar to the CSR, or corporate social responsibility, but now we have a new term, and it was developed by the MIT University about 2 or 3 years ago. The discussions were there. And we see that a new component is added to the CSR, the traditional CSR, the social, economic, and environmental aspects. Now we have another technological responsibility as well. So this CDR will be among the top priorities of the researchers in a very close future. And finally, the ethics and cyber ethics will be another concern. We need to think twice about the cyber ethics, about the security of the businesses, and it will be another main consideration of the digital leaders in Metaverse. We cannot continue doing business with the current set of ethics. So we need a new set of ethics, and it will be very crucial for the survival of our businesses. And one of the last concerns I want to share with you is about the diversity and inclusion of our workforce. It will be much more important when we move to the metaverse, and all leaders need to pay more attention to the diversity and inclusion factor in their businesses. And this diversity will be a bit different from what we are experiencing now. Now we have diversities on different races of the people, different people with different requests from us, people with different mindsets. And this diversity is in our employees, in our customers, and the other stakeholders. But in Metaverse, we are going to have a new type of diversity, which we are going to have, for example, the smart teams. On the smart teams, we are going to have some team members, some human team members, and some robot team members or artificial intelligence team members. And we need to revise many of our processes. For example, the HR processes will completely change because when you want to hire a new team member and it's not a human, it's a robot, it's artificial intelligence, the hiring will be different, the promotion will be different, the motivation of the team will be different. So this diversity will go a bit far from what we are experiencing now, and this will be another main concern. And finally, the last concern is about the culture. The culture will play a very important role in Metaverse for business and management. So we need to design a new culture. We need to have our own unique digital culture, because the culture is the root of our business. And we cannot survive without having a proper design on the culture. And we easily can see that many businesses have started to design new, even departments for their management of their culture. It's not same as many years ago to have this as a kind of a luxury component of the organization. So, and my last slide for today is that if digital leaders want to be successful in Metaverse, in this new platform, and on the Web4 versions of the Metaverse in a very close future, we need to learn, we need to continuously learn, we need to have a lifelong learning approach, but it's not limited to that. We need to learn, we need to unlearn and relearn again. So this will be the approach that all successful digital leaders need to follow in order to be relevant and useful in Metaverse era. So that was all from my sharing, and you can see my email address.
Okay, thank you very much.